All right, so now let's actually get the data out of this form. And so to do that, we'll go back into our create.html file, and where we create the form, after action, we'll specify a method, right? And by default, this is get, which is what we've been seeing so far. But we want to change this to be post. And a post request can carry some data. And that data that it will carry is what is in these inputs. So we can save this, and we can go back into our views.py, and where we have this view for this create page, we can access this data using this request object that's passed in. And so what we can do is we can just print this out for now. We can say request.post, click save, make sure that your server is running, and go back to our browser. Here we have link/create. We can reload link/create, type in something, say hello world, click create, and now we get this 403 forbidden error. CSRF verification failed, request aborted. And so CSRF stands for cross-site request forgery, and it's basically a hack, a malicious hack that is a way for somebody to send data via a form and pretend to be you. So let's go back to our form, and let's say somebody sent you an email with a picture, and they added a link to the picture, and that linked to our site /link/create, and it submitted this form. Now that doesn't sound so bad when it's just this hello world and create button, but if this was something like your bank account information or your credit card information, it could have a lot of bad consequences. And so Django enforces something called a CSRF token, which basically is a random string generated each time this page is created, so that Django knows that it's you that's actually submitting this form. And to do that, we'll hop back in the code and into our create.html, and all we have to include here is another tag, CSRF token, like so. And so this will add in a CSRF token, which is just a random string that Django has generated to know that this is a secure form submission. So now let's go back to our browser, refresh the page again, and try and say this is secure, click create. And now we don't see that question mark up here, but the page did reload. So let's go back into our terminal and see what happened. And here you can see in our terminal, it's printing out this query dict, and it has this CSRF middleware token, which is passed in. But we're not seeing this input type text, and that's because we need to pass in a name property, and we'll just call this link. Click save, go back to our browser, and refresh this link create page, and type in this is my form, and click create. It all looks the same, it gets refreshed, and if we go back to our terminal, we can see we now have this data right here. And we see the CSRF middleware token is this long random string, and then we have our link, this is my form. Awesome, so now we're actually sending data to our Django server, and this could be anything. This could be every single field for our link object in our database, and we could save this to the database. But what we're going to do next is check out Django's built-in forms and how they make it super, super easy to create forms without having to write too much code. So that's what we're going to do next.